Hi readers, me here. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is my February reading recap. And I usually do this at the very end of the month, but I'm a little bit delayed. I don't know why. Who knows? Anywho, February felt like a hard reading month for me. I think I had some DNFs in here. I'm not sure what they are now, but March has gotten off to a great start so far. So, start off, I read a couple books for my author spotlight, and I think I'm going to change the way I do that and not do rereads if I'm doing an author spotlight, because that might have been what held me back. I wasn't really reading anything new and fresh. I was rereading things that I read. So I started out with Betty Wren Wright and Mary Downing Hahn. I first read Wait Till Helen Comes, and I was really disappointed with this book. I actually just finished a book last night that gave me similar vibes, but it was better written. And I think part of my disappointment also stems from the fact that I read an article with Mary Downing Hahn complaining about having to write ghost stories. Well, I mean, I guess she had to write them because they sold, but if you don't want to do it, don't do it. So disappointed in Wait Till Helen Comes, and that was my first book of the month, so it's always hard to start off with a disappointment. But then I read The Dollhouse Murders by Betty Wren Wright, who did want to write about ghosts, and she wanted the ghost to be real, not, something natural. Dollhouse Murders was great. I did a review of this in my author spotlight, but Betty Wren Wright up there for me. Gotta put the book somewhere. I'm like stacks everywhere here. Next up, I read another Mary Downing Hahn, Time for Andrew, a ghost story. This was a much better book, and it involved like a time swap, person swap, and I love that trope. This was also not nearly as annoying as Wait Till Helen Comes. Next up, Christina's Ghost by Betty Wren Wright, written for a much younger reader than The Dollhouse Murders, but this was still really well written. I really enjoyed it. There was a real ghost and a real threat. So, loved it. So, again, I've said in some other videos that the way I respond to books now is how they make me feel while I'm reading them. And a lot of times, when it's been a long time since I've read a book, and I don't remember the contents, I will have a feeling about that book. It will be positive, negative, or somewhere in the middle. And I think The Hollow Kind is going to go down as somewhere in the middle. I've tabbed it in a lot of places. I think it was because I was trying to figure out something. And so this gives me a kind of medium feeling. I'm already far enough away from it that I don't have to look inside to remember, details. But it was just okay. Last year I read a book by Andy Davidson called In the Valley of the Sun. Loved that book. Just liked this one. Talking about the way a book makes me feel when I'm reading, Mrs. Quinn's Rise to Fame was an absolute joy to read. I love books about competition shows. I loved Mrs. Quinn. And this is about a baking show, British baking show. So, awesome. This is going to go high on my list this year. I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter was billed at a poignant and laugh-out-loud funny story about losing a sister and finding yourself. This was poignant. There were funny moments. To describe it as a laugh-out-loud funny story is disingenuous, and I think that kind of affected my response to this. I liked this book. This was a good book, but it was not a laugh out loud funny story. It was sad. And I feel like, did you ever see that movie Arachnophobia? The trailer for that movie had John Candy in it. I think John Candy, not John Candy. I forgot his name already. Anywho, doesn't matter. The trailer implied that it would be a funny movie. It had funny moments in it, but when we first watched it, my sister and I were screaming on the couch because it was freaking scary. And creepy because spiders. That's how I feel like this. I wasn't screaming on the couch, but I went in expecting a laugh out loud funny book, and that is not what I got. I got kind of a depressing book. It was good, but it was not the way it was billed. I have seen criticism about this book. I still go back and read reviews, and a lot of times I read 1-star reviews to kind of talk about it in a post or something. But I absolutely adored the women. It made me cry. I was engaged the entire time. I don't think I read it in one sitting, but I could have. I absolutely loved this book. It is a winner for me. Any book that can make me feel some way, like sometimes outraged or sad or anything, that's a winner for me, and this was that. This was a winner. Again, this is going to go up, along with Mrs. Quinn, as one of my favorite books of the month, because when I think about this, I get a positive feeling just like that. I won't say it made me happy. It made me happy that I read the book. Ooh, a pile here about to fall. The Auctioneer, going to be a medium for me. This was actually a really good read. I don't know that it was explosive, but it really, to me, I did a review on this, and I felt like it was talking about an erosion of your rights, even though it was really talking about the destruction of the country lifestyle and how all the city goers come in, buy up the land, and then sell it for more. But it was just very good. So glad I read this. I can't remember how many stars I gave it, but I do recommend. I also enjoyed Almost Surely Dead by Amina Akhtar. I love reading about both of these next two books were about jinns and Muslim culture. They are completely different books. The Jinn Waits 100 Years was completely different from Almost Surely Dead, but both involved jinns. I loved both of these books. This one was a bit slower to read. This one definitely more modern. The next 4 or 5 books I also read for an author spotlight. This one was on Lois Duncan and Paula Danziger. I read A Gift of Magic, It's an Aardvark Eat Turtle War, The Divorce Express, and Stranger with My Face, and The Pistachio Prescription. Of these, A Gift of Magic I loved, as you can see, when I was a kid. I liked it now. It read a lot younger this time for me, but I still really enjoyed it and highly recommend it. But I love Stranger with My Face. Even though it's been years since I read it, when I pick it up, I have a good feeling about this book. I feel good about this book. And really, really liked The Pistachio Prescription as well. Again, another good feeling book. Another book that I've read almost to pieces. Erasure by Percival Ellie Everett. Kind of the same thing as the book isn't kind of the same thing. So I read this after I watched American Fiction, which kind of gave me the same vibe as Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter. The trailer for the movie looked like it was going to be laugh out loud funny the whole time. It was not. There were bittersweet moments in it. It was an excellent movie, but again, it was not. I was expecting more of a comedy and less of a real life story. Erasure, though, I was prepared for it. There were some things in here that I did not understand. Really wish I could talk to the author and ask him about it, but he lives all the way in California, and I don't see myself going out there anytime soon. I do recommend this book, and I also recommend the movie. Both well written, well done. My final book for February was another joy. Bittersweet in the Hollow. It had a little bit of magic, a little bit of mystery, a girl in danger, and I love all of that. I love, like Betty Wren Wright, I want my magic to be real. And my ghosts and all of that to be real. And Bittersweet in the Hollow, it was. So, really good reading month now that I look back at it. Some were more engaging than others. Some were more of a joy to read than others. Mrs. Quinn, The Women, and Bittersweet are definitely going to be up there. And I'm hoping to keep this trend going in March. I really need some good books. Since I'm not rushing myself this year or trying to reach a large Goodreads goal, I've got the time to really enjoy it. And I hope I do. That's all for me. Happy reading!